Hello, everyone. Okay, so as I completed each of the assignments or the little sub-assignments for this, for this identity analysis, I was able to really reflect on answering that big question of who am I? What is this? What is my identity? And I'm I realized that we actually don't, or at least for me, we don't really take a lot of time to reflect and really analyze like ourselves and how is it that we became the person that we currently are. And so I found this assignment extremely useful and eye-opening. And so the very first section, which was the identity web, I noticed that there were some areas that were much easier to list. Like for example, like interest. That was easy for me. I can throw out so many different interests that I have. But then when it came down to thinking about some of the invisible characteristics and the ones that really required some more self-disclosure, I think I had a harder time with that section because one, I needed to think of, okay, what is it that I want to share? And what is it that I think truly has shaped my identity? So that was my experience with the identity web. But then for the next section, which was the cultural iceberg, I found that assignment much easier because the focus was on how culture has influenced my identity rather than, again, putting the attention on me and having to self-disclose information that sometimes can be hard to share with other people. And so I like the cultural iceberg. I thought it was pretty easy and it was fun, like really thinking back of all of the things that are part of that I've grown up with. Okay, and so the next section for the stereotype section, I found this activity, um, uh, it required a lot of thinking and kind of like stopping and reflecting on how I would put my words together. As I'm a Latina who is commonly confused for being white, who also has a German, slash white last name. My last name is Haltenhoff. And that has impacted me in many different ways. But as a Latina, my community and the people that I hang around with and my family are Latino people for the most part. And so I have since I can remember, it's always been this I this assumption that things will go better for me because of the way I look, that things will go better for me because of my last name. And even growing up, it was this whiteness was admired. The color of the skin was admired, the fact that you had light colored hair, or um, you know uh, um, your eyes were colored, right? So all of these things I grew up with, which was confusing because you know I'm a Latina. I speak Spanish. My second language is English, and so um, the stereotypes for me, like it was a difficult task, I think, to like just put all of those words together. But what I really took away from this section is that you know most of the stereotypes with other groups except white are end up being for the most part negative. um, and and I do this myself, and I before this, I've always like kind of thought, well, like, yeah, like stereotypes do have some truth in them because they haven't really impacted me the way that it may impact other groups, right? Other minority groups or um and so as I reflect on all of this, I think that I really have to be really aware that, that my perception will have an impact and might influence the way that I perceive my students. And so that's why I really like this section of the assignment. Okay, so the next section, which was hidden biases, um, after I completed that implicit association test, I was shocked. I was shocked at my results because it was a moderate and automatic preference for white people over Black people. I have to admit that I was bothered by this result, and I even questioned the accuracy um, of this assessment. But then I realized, as I said, as I reflected on the stereotypes, I've grown up with this idea, right? This idea that being white there's a privilege, there's something positive about being white, and so it is a hidden bias. As much as I want to say that, that this is not true, I think after completing this, I realized that this information that has been passed down generation through generation is um, is forming an implicit bias in me. And that's definitely something that I do not want to continue passing um, towards the next generations. And that's specifically thinking as a parent. I don't want my children to get these results. I didn't like this. Okay, and lastly, it's the assets and the supports, like little section. And I have to say that this section, it was much easier to list down the assets that formed my identity, like such as being dedicated and hardworking and being able to prioritize and organize. Um, all of those things, like I thought that were really easy, and um, I think some of the things that the next box I kind of struggled with, but I think that the supports that I need to leverage these assets okay is that it's my children. They're the ones that really push me and help me to continue to strengthen my assets. And it's also the satisfaction that I get from learning. I just love learning, and I think that's why I'm going into this field. I want to be an educator because I want to continue growing and learning, and all of these things really go hand in hand with my assets, which I briefly just went over. Thank you so much.